Hello and welcome to today's session. Do you find yourself reinventing the wheel when it comes to running your business? Are you going round in circles and every time you are doing a presentation, a webinar, a campaign, a launch, you feel like you're reinventing yourself? Well, then you're actually in the right place. I think we all need to think about how can we take ourselves out of this reinventing the wheel over and over again, because it's really important that we create a sustainable business, that we can scale our businesses, and we can start to remove ourselves and not having to continuously do the same things over and over again. And that's what my talk is all about today. Before we dive into detail, I'm going to talk about number one, evergreen, the notion of evergreen. So this is really what I was trying to explain in terms of stop reinventing your wheel when it comes to your business and start scaling your business to six figures and beyond by applying some of the evergreen principles. And I'll talk a bit more about the importance, because obviously, why does it matter to our businesses, right? Part two, I'm going to show you the 6 powerful pillars of an evergreen system, and we'll do a little audit and practical action steps so you walk away with some real ideas that you can go and implement. So what is my mission? My mission really is to get more spiritual entrepreneurs, just like yourselves, share their magic and make the world a better place. How? By creating collaborative spaces, help women conquer business challenges. This is me. So here are a few things that I did in terms of creating collaborative spaces and helping other women. I've written, hosted 3 books, collaborative books with 75 other authors. I was on radio, I was on physical stages and online stages, helping entrepreneurs as well as professionals in organizations. And that's really has been quite a mission since I actually left a corporate job myself. I used to work in process and project management and in senior positions. And then I decided I wanted to make a bigger impact. But again, I went back into the corporate space, and I also work with female entrepreneurs to help them also make this impact. And why is this impact important? Of course, I love to make impact, and I also love to enjoy life whilst I am making this impact. And here are some pictures of myself and my family. I am a passionate mother of 2, and I love my family to bits, and I love to create memories. And this business model and what I do now has really allowed me to be able to step into creating those memories and help me be more flexible and also replace my corporate income at the same time. And so this is why it's so important for me to actually think about how can I help other women do a similar thing? How can I empower other women also get onto this notion of evergreen and really think about how they can take their business to the next level? So let's talk a little bit about what is actually evergreen. So evergreen is like obviously your green leaves here. So there are trees that are evergreen that always blossom. And with that, how many times have you created things in your business or written a piece of content and then you forgot about it? You have created a slide deck, you've done a launch, and you've done it once, and then it just didn't work for some reason, and you just didn't utilize it anymore. So unfortunately, that's not called evergreen. Evergreen is the opposite. Evergreen is really thinking strategically around what is it that you want to create in your business, what are the assets, and perhaps even creating a cycle around when are you going to launch, how are you going to launch, and something that actually also aligns with you and how you want to work in your business. So it could be and there are 6 pillars I'm going to talk about. Obviously, there's different evergreen pillars where you could actually consider which are the components that I could actually evergreen that's going to make my life easier, and it's going to help me scale my business so I can actually get more clients in whilst doing less of the marketing and less of hustle and less of reinventing myself over and over again. Because every time we reinvent or we create something new, then we start from scratch again, and we don't have the consistency. And so that's why it's important to really think about this notion of evergreen. I think I just answered the question. Why is it important? Because we don't want to reinvent the wheel over and over again. It's really about thinking, how can we run our businesses so that we have this rhythm? We've got something that we can always pull out the bag. We can always run with this over and over again. And just take a moment, perhaps even close your eyes for a little bit and think, well, what could that look like? What would a day look like for me? I have all the heavy liftings done and say, my marketing's taken care of. I know exactly when my launches are going to happen, how often I'm going to launch. I've got my posts sorted, or my visuals, my brand, my offers. And all I need to do is just show up. Just show up and do the thing I love doing. What would that look like? It would be amazing, right? Maybe it feels a bit lighter. So how can we achieve it? What are the steps? How can we bridge that gap from where you are right now? And also, I want to help you become aware of where you're right now and perhaps give you some ideas how you could move towards that the evergreen business model to help you get to that version of lightness, of being able to do more of the things that you love doing. So I'm going to be going through the 6 pillars, and perhaps let's just take a moment. What will it actually do for your business? What will these pillars signify? How could you use them, right? Well, perhaps right now we're reinventing the wheel. Every launch, we're struggling to maintain consistency, feeling tied to manual marketing efforts and not doing enough of the work that we love doing, that we should be doing, the paid work and the transformation, the beautiful work, our gifts, sharing our gifts. And what we want to get to is perhaps running a streamlined, automated system that consistently attracts, converts, and delivers results, getting the new clients, and really freeing up your time so that you can actually put all that energy in delivering those amazing results for your clients. Okay, so let's get started. And how did I come about the 6 pillars? Actually, this was a draft version. This is my roadmap, the map that I've created, because I got really frustrated in my own business. I just couldn't get it together, and I thought I need to create a map around what are the things that are truly essential to actually grow a business, and what are things that are just shiny objects, things that I don't really need to be doing or think about it. And then I actually gave the sticky notes some dots, and I thought, okay, what am I working on right now? What are priorities? What are things that I can evergreen? What are things I can be perhaps even outsource in future? And that's really created the 6 pillars that I have right now. So basically, the 6 pillars is not something that I copied from a textbook. It's literally, I was living through this, and with my background of project process management, I was able to distill the 6 main business processes that are just so essential. That are absolutely the foundation, and will really, really help you gain clarity, gain the consistency, and expand your income and your impact. So the step 1 is, or let's say first, we need to perhaps do this. We need to be very clear around the business model, right? What may we want to think about? Well, we probably need a clear, defined business model that works, that will also align with how we want to show up in our business and our income goals, and how we want to create impact. So some people like to work flexibly, and they want to be traveling. Some people want to do in-person workshops, so that may not work. If someone wants to work remotely and from a beach, for example, they may not want to offer in-person workshops unless it's a retreat on the beach. Right, so these are things we want to think about. Or we have a group program, are we maxed out with one-to-ones? So that's actually going to lead me to the step 1 pitfalls, because sometimes we have very complicated structures, and it may not quite work. It's not quite aligned. We actually trip over ourselves. We may have limited capacity. We're doing lots of one-to-ones. So that means we're selling time for money, and it's not quite optimal. So the question I have for you today in terms of the audit, but think about your own business. How true is this statement? I have a simple and clear business structure in my business that supports my financial and lifestyle goals. And just score yourself. 1 to 10, 1 needs a lot of work, 5 is I'm halfway there, and 5, I nailed it. So give yourself a number and write it down so you see where the gap may be, right? And once you realize, hang on, I'm not quite a 10, perhaps, right? You might want to ask yourself a very useful question. Well, what is my ideal way of working in my business? I want to imagine that day, that ideal day. Take some time over it, and that's your homework from today, right? So what's my ideal way of working? That's your useful question to take away and journal on. Then the second thing to consider are evergreen offers. What are they? Well, we want clear messaging, strong and compelling offers that are aligned with your audience pain points by positioning you as the go-to expert. And quite often, again, we have very similar pitfalls. We overcomplicate. We're creating lots of different offers, perhaps new content every time we're launching new offers. And then we have to even fill cohorts. If you have like a starting and an end point when it comes to delivering a program, there's maybe a lot of pressure in actually launching this and filling this offer up. So there could be something around creating an evergreen enrollment where people can always come in at any given time of the year. And of course, we're going to think this through, how to best position this. So ask yourself, I have a signature evergreen program that is the core of my business. How clear is that? Again, score yourself 1 to 10. And you may well ask yourself the question, which program actually works best in terms of ease of delivery, the fun I have when I'm delivering it? How can I leverage maybe the group, get more people in for the same amount of time that I'm spending, and I can make more money, more impact? And which program has the best future potential that I know I can develop this, I can expand on this, and I will have lots and lots of fun. And I'm absolutely passionate about this, and I can talk about it quite confidently, and will come across in my marketing as well. So here's your step 2. Let's go to the next one. The next item we might want to think about is the evergreen visibility. Obviously, we need to be visible. We need to show up. Maybe think about a 90-day bank of high-impact evergreen content that helps you stand out, provides value, keeps your audience engaged, and generates visibility, even when you're offline, ensuring consistent top-of-mind presence. Right? Do you have something like this in place so you don't have to reinvent the content over and over again? And God forbid, sometimes we actually turn on our laptops in the morning. We're like, oh, gotta do something. Gotta write something. Gotta be visible now. What I want to write. Well, if we had a strategic way and a strategic content pool, we wouldn't have to reinvent over and over, and we could just pull on the days where we don't want to create new content. Or if you want to have someone supporting you in a business, you could just outsource that piece, and you could always have content going out in the background. And as and when you feel you want to create something live, then you can do that, and you're inspired, but you're not forced to do it. So the question really, or let's say the pitfall to start with, is perhaps that you are even hiding, not really being visible, and trying to be everywhere at the same time. That can actually also create a lot of pressure. And then, of course, we're creating content for the sake and perhaps not even measuring its impact. Again, we don't want to just create content for the sake of creating content. We've got to be mindful as to what we're putting out there. Is it working? Is it strategically aligned with our offers? And does it actually naturally lead our prospects into our offers and getting closer to us? So the audit question here is, I create strategic content and distribute and then reuse it, right? Are you reusing? That's another aspect in terms of content. How clever are you when you are creating this piece of content? Maybe you can actually create different pieces of content from that as well. If you create a written piece, it could become a video, or vice versa. You could do a video and then do a transcript and it becomes a written piece. Then it could become a post. It could become a LinkedIn newsletter. It could be an email newsletter as well. You could create shorts with AI tools. You could create YouTube videos from your webinar that you create. So there's many different ways to actually utilize their content. And a helpful question here, if you're not scoring a 10, could be, what's the one piece of content that I could create and repurpose? Just one piece of content. Think about that. What one piece of content could I create and repurpose? That could be one step forward. And how I'm going to repurpose it. Could create a video, transcribe it, create a post, newsletter, and so on. And the fourth thing we need to consider is evergreen conversions. Obviously, people seeing you, now what? So this is obviously something that I have created with my business. I've got 12 mechanisms. Not that I'm saying I'm using all the 12, but there are different strategies, because not everything, no, it's not a one size fits all. So there's a mechanism. You might want to see which one is the best. You want to implement. So you have an automated system, right? So you want to have maybe 2 or 3 versions. Like maybe you have a webinar. Maybe once a quarter you want to have a challenge. Then you have a free gift that you're giving away on an ongoing basis. Maybe you want to have a funnel that sells for you 24/7. And it's really about converting leads into clients. And sometimes it's also great not having to be there live all the time and having to constantly doing everything manually. So that could be a hybrid. Think about that. How can I create something that's evergreen, that's always working for me when it comes to converting those leads and getting people who see me into the next step of the sales process? And how is that working? For so many people, including myself, I actually used to have like 80 sales funnels and it was too complex and I got rid of all of them. So sometimes simplifying our business is a great way forward. So the pitfall here is that we may not have a powerful or consistent conversion mechanism. Perhaps not enough people are seeing it. So that means there's a problem actually attracting people to come and see it. And then we have a manual, inconsistent way of getting them to the next step. We keep on reinventing ourselves and there's lots and lots of trial and error. Whereas if we evergreen this process, we will keep track of what's working, what's not working, and then optimize rather than reinventing and trial and error. So again, there's this notion of evergreen in there in terms of optimization. Your audit question is, I have a clear and consistent client conversion strategy in place. And if you haven't scored a 10, again, you might want to ask yourself a useful question here. Do I have a weekly rhythm around where and how I show up? A weekly rhythm might be really good because you know exactly on a daily basis what you're doing in your business to convert more sales, right? It may be that once a week you're doing a webinar, or on a Tuesday you're doing a live stream on Facebook or on LinkedIn. On a Wednesday you connect with new people and having conversations. What is it that you're doing on a daily basis that you could be doing perhaps, and think about a structure around that so you become more consistent and you get a bit more predictability, and you can optimize and work with that as well on an ongoing basis. The next item to consider are evergreen enrollments. So what does that mean? Well, once you have made a sale, obviously that's when work starts. That's when we want to start deliver and delight our clients. So that's why I call this evergreen enrollments. First, we did talk about evergreen programs, and then we may want to think about how can we enroll people on an ongoing basis, or do we want to open and close and have sort of launches and then there's nothing in between? Does that fit your business model? That's a question. But then we need a seamless, enjoyable client onboarding and delivery process where we can really get great transformations and obviously have great client retention. Again, we want to create something that can be put in place, and when the client comes on board, there is a whole raft of welcome documents and welcome procedure in place, so you don't have to scramble around and you're panicky when you're onboarding that person as soon as they paid or put a deposit down. Again, it will free up our time. It will actually really create high quality interaction and high quality startup in your program, and it will show that you're organized, and it will give the client a great sort of quick win structure to actually get them going. And then they understand, oh, this was a great decision that actually came on this program. I'm really pleased, I invested, and I'm now double sure that this is the perfect program, the perfect coach for me. Okay. So the pitfalls, obviously, it may not be clear as to what are the steps or how the onboarding goes. Maybe there's delays, so that means it's not very professional. There may be no contract, no expectations. What about the billing? Is that all sorted? Access to materials? Is there a kickstart strategy? So these are all the questions, and if it's not sorted, this could become really, really frustrating for the client and for yourself. So the audit question is, do I have a powerful, structured onboarding process that creates momentum? And again, if you haven't scored a straight 10, a useful question, if I was to onboard myself onto my own program, what would be step one? Would be one thing I could be creating or expecting. And the last item we want to consider is evergreen growth. So now we're talking about scalability. And how can we scale? Well, firstly, we need an aligned, optimized offer. So we need to, well, we start with something. It may not be exactly 100% there, but we want to, work on this, add to it, change it up, and not go too broad and not have too many offers either, right? Let's start with one, have a second one, perhaps maybe then a third, depending on different levels. So I've got my high ticket offer, then I have a medium one, and then some low ticket as well, because not everyone can jump straight into my high ticket offer, but they still want to work with me, right? Maybe you think about client referrals. How can client refer you? How do you capture their feedback, and how are you going to use that in your marketing? And so we can actually increase your impact and your income with a whole sort of system for growth, for continuous improvement, I call it, and harnessing existing clients, maybe even upselling existing clients. That's all falls within this bucket. And here, the pitfalls are that maybe you're not going to get any feedback, either no testimonials, you don't get no feedback around your program. That's not very helpful. You don't know what's worked, what's not working. How can you actually improve on it? So that means you can't optimize, and you're not harnessing client success for your own growth. That means, like, if a client had a really good success, you want to have the testimonial so that you can then get more clients and get that rolling, that good feedback loop. The audit question here is, I regularly review and refine my systems, offers, and client experiences based on feedback and performance metrics. Okay, so do you regularly review? And again, if you haven't scored a 10, you might want to use this useful question. What's the one thing I could implement to optimize my growth? Think about. Maybe I'm going to start getting some testimonials. I'm going to put a feedback form in place, so the clients are going to give me feedback after, or in the middle, or after a month, in the middle of a program, or after a month, so I can then take that feedback and improve things. Maybe something not quite working for them. Okay. So here you have all the 6 steps: your business model, your offers, your visibility, your conversion mechanism, your enrollments, and your growth. And that's what I summarize and what I call the Evergreen success formula. That's what I've created based on my experience, based on many of my clients' questions that came through in the past 7-8 years that I've been running my masterminds, and there was always the same sort of challenges. And I understood that my clients needed a system that would really create the consistency, the clarity, and would actually help with a lot of the heavy lifting. And that's why I created the Evergreen success formula. So it is a bespoke group. Coaching is bespoke because it's not one size fits all. It needs to be aligned with your business. I have a group and one-to-one coaching sessions in there as well, because I believe that not everything can be sorted out in a group. So there's one-to-one coaching included. We've got SOPs, these are standard operating procedures. So basically everything I talked about today has actually got a structure behind it and a framework that I give to my clients, and they can start implementing, almost like fill in the blank kind of systems. Then also there is a bit of automation, there is a bit of tech there, and some people actually don't feel very confident dealing with tech. So we do that as well. We've got a lot of templates to help optimize, to do feedback, look at over your shoulder kind of thing. And I love working in this capacity because it really truly works and it really yields very quick results. So that's one of the options I have available in terms of if you are thinking about working with me. And there is a bit of info there. You can go and just book a call. Basically, we have a conversation. There's different options, obviously different variations depending on where you're at, and we can just have a quick conversation.